But oh, you beauty! What a head, son! What a head!
Yes, we're back. Travis, OB. Welcome back to Onto the Ball. We're back for a live preview of the weekend's games, Manchester United versus Southampton and Bournemouth versus Liverpool. It's going to be tough not to talk more about Liverpool 7, Manchester United 0. But I will try because Travis has probably done it to death. He's probably not slept for 4 nights now. And me and OB have not slept for 4 days either, but for a different reason. I haven't slept out of excitement. But how are you two?
Yeah, good. Just about recovered today. Just about recovered, mate.
I'm just loving it. I think every day this week I've watched the goals. I watched the game again on Monday. I watched extended highlights on Tuesday. I think it was just the goals yesterday and today. I've wound it down. I'm basically weaning myself of it because ultimately it is only 3 points, but it was a beautiful, beautiful weekend last weekend, and Liverpool need to take that into this weekend, really.
It was incredible. I'm still in shock, to be honest, that I was worried going into the game. And Travis and I done a Sunday morning preview into it, talking about the tactics, the intricacies of it, what we hope for, what we expect. No one expected that. And no one would. You'd be absolutely insane to expect that. Man United were flying. Liverpool were in the proverbial. And it was just incredible. I still can't believe it. Trav, you're the Twitter man. What's it been like on Twitter with the Man U fans since then? We've got to touch on it a little bit more, haven't we? Before we get into Man United, Southampton and Bournemouth, Liverpool.
Yeah, there's been a lot of headlines, as you would sort of expect. A lot of negative headlines about Bruno and Rashford in particular. Obviously, Rashford was caught out shopping, doing the ultimate sin when he was shopping in his car 2 days after. He shouldn't have left his house, should he? But the Daily Mail have been going into the players, to be fair. A lot about Bruno's captaincy, to be fair, and whether they think he's the right man for the longer term future of United. That's probably been the main headline. They've touched on Rashford. They've touched on a few other players and their sort of demeanour and their attitude. And obviously they've questioned not the manager long term as such, but whether he was going to make sort of any like key decisions going forward, like the captaincy, whether he was going to make wholesale changes, if he was going to sort of punish the players, and how I think everybody's going to be interested to see how we're going to sort of react today, whether he's going to make any changes to the team, whether we're going to approach anything differently. Obviously, Weghorst has been in the headlines as well, touching the This Is Anfield sign. So yeah, a lot has come out of this 4 days. It's been pretty much meltdown, which it's been a journalist's dream, let's say that.
This Weghorst thing, it's blown up, hasn't it? It's exploded. And isn't it weird that, I don't know, is it them deflecting OB, focusing on something like that rather than the performance and the score?
I don't know if it's deflection. I found his reasoning for why he did it completely unbelievable, as I'm sure you boys did as well. I don't think it really matters. If the guy decided to touch a sign, it doesn't make any difference. It was before the game. It just will rile United fans who are probably quite emotional as well this week. Doesn't have any impact on the guy making an effort during the game. And I don't think he was necessarily the worst player on the pitch for United on Sunday either. So it is a bit of deflection. It's just an emotional reaction to what United supporters and fan base expected to be a very competitive game and probably a win. And it's gone very, very south for them. And they're probably thinking to themselves, I need to focus on something else because I can't keep watching the extended highlights over and over again. Whereas we're doing the exact opposite.
Absolutely. Travis, is it going to have any ripples through the club in terms of how close you are to actually challenging? Has it been a bit of an eye-opener? Now the dust is settled in the last 4 days? Or is it like, man, we need a lot more in the summer? We're not as close as we hoped we were.
No, I think the plan for United off the pitch will stay the same, to be honest with you. I think Ten Hag sort of knows what he needs. I think it's a difficult one. I don't think it's set us back in the sense of, oh, the objectives are going to change in terms of transfer targets and stuff. I think we'll go for the same players. We'll stay on the same track. I can't remember the last time a defeat like that's really set ripples in terms of consecutive defeats and not picking up points. I don't think we've ever not responded to a heavy defeat. Like you said, the 6-3, we responded well away at City and went on a long unbeaten run. Then we lost to Arsenal and we put a little bit of a run together again. So obviously it's a setback. 7-0 against anyone, let alone Liverpool, was always going to be highlights, and it's going to be splattered all over the newspapers, and it's obviously going to have some sort of effect. I don't think it won't have an effect at all on the players. It's not going to be water off a duck's back, because there's going to be a lot of pressure coming off a result like that. But in terms of how close we are, I think we sort of will never know. Do you know what I mean? I think obviously Ten Hag, I think, is ahead of schedule, but how far ahead of schedule he is, it's just really an unanswerable question. We'll never know. I think he's got to be given at least a couple of transfer windows, summer windows, to sort of shape the squad how he wants to shape it. And then I think we'll go from there. I don't think anyone can categorically say we're definitely going to challenge for the title next year. We just don't know. I'm confident that with the right signings, we can go a lot closer than we have to Arsenal and City next year. Whether that equates to a title challenge with like the likes of Liverpool coming back, or Chelsea maybe getting a new manager and challenging, we just don't know what's going to happen next season. I think we have to wait to the summer to see what happens, what movement, and then we'll sort of go from there. So I think it's a bit too early to say what sort of impact it's going to have on United's future plans.
One last question before we move on to the weekend's ball.
Yeah.
And I promise I'm not fishing and I'm not grilling you.
Yeah, that's all right.
Is it a worry that the spine of your team that you're hoping to build around, so the foundation, they looked two players in the on to mirror around? Is that a bit of a worry? Maybe Scotty's right that players in their early 30s are an absolute danger, or are you just calm and it was just, look, put it to bed. We got patterned up and we move on.
Yeah, it's definitely the latter for me. I don't think you can say Sunday's game was down to the age of the players, to be fair, because everybody underperformed and weren't at the races, and Liverpool took full advantage of that. I don't think you could look at that game and say, oh, well, we couldn't live with Liverpool in terms of covering distances and stuff. I know we ran less than you, but I think that was just down to self-belief more than anything. I think at 2-0, the game had gone. Everybody felt the game had gone, and we sort of lost the mental and the psychological aspects of the game rather than the physical aspects, to be fair. So again, how quickly we can put a title challenge together remains to be seen. If we do put a title challenge together next year, a serious title challenge, and we've got the likes of Casemiro and Varane playing, then everybody's going to say, well, Casemiro, for example, was great business and he's going to be part of the spine. If it's going to take 4 or 5 years and those players are aging, then it's not. And the thing is about football, it's a very fine line, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, it can go either way very quickly. It's very fickle. 1 minute you're the flavour of the month, next minute, like, I mean, for example, which we'll come on to in the Liverpool section, Fabinho, he was written off 3 weeks ago. Now there's articles all over Athletics saying he's back and he's an unbelievable player. He was never bad. Do you know what I mean? I think he, like you said, the confidence, which OB alluded to for a number of weeks, was very, very low. Players are getting the confidence back now. And you can see the performance levels have gone up tenfold. And confidence plays a big part in football. So I expect us to bounce back over the next few games. Time will tell. But I think we've responded well to adversity this season so far.
Nice one. Let's get straight onto the weekend. OB. It seems silly saying this because we've just played 5 games, 5 clean sheets, 4 wins, and a draw. That sounds pretty consistent to me. But how worried are you that we won't carry on this consistency away to one of the bottom of the league, Bournemouth, on Saturday at 12:30? Are you worried, or are we absolutely flying now and we're just going to smash another team for another 3 points?
10-0. I'm only joking. Right, so I've gone all in. I think it's a different type of challenge. It's a game that the team will and the squad will have to make sure they're up for. It's very different to, it's almost like a given. You're going to be up for a home game against Man United. It's almost a given. You're going to be up for some of these games. But this is the kind of game where you have to reach into the squad. They'll have a lot of confidence. They'll all still be buzzing from that atmosphere and the fact they were scoring goals. I mean, it's not to be underestimated. Scoring 6 goals in front of a Kop last Sunday will make them players feel very, very good about themselves in a very, very positive way. And it's about taking that and making sure that it then translates into a win. And I think that they need to focus on, if things don't go right in the first 20 minutes, they need to continue to believe in themselves. If they concede the first goal, they've got to continue to believe in themselves. They look more solid at the back, and then certainly they have done for the rest of the season, the last 5 games. There was moments where United did cause us little problems. I don't think Bournemouth are quite that level, but Bournemouth caused Arsenal a lot of problems last weekend. Let's not forget that. And are a capable team. They've got some good players in there, and if we concede the first goal, that squad has got to dig deep again and decide what they want to do, and that team's got to think about that. And I'm sure that Klopp has gone through all this with the team this week to go, that was great, boys, and I want you to take that positivity into it, but from getting carried away mentally, you need to forget it, and you need to earn the victory in the next game. And I think that's the key message for this type of response to a massive win, is to not go in and just expect the victory, because that won't happen.
It feels a bit like 2021 when we had that centre-back crisis. We were trying Fabinho there, Hendo there. In the end, Klopp sorted it out, and we were flying for about the last 7 or 8 games. Thankfully, we've still got about 12 or 13 games left, and hopefully Klopp has turned the corner in terms of the squad. But Trav just alluded to it there. Confidence, and you're never as far away as you think you are. All of a sudden, I'm looking at the midfield options, and I'm liking a Harvey Elliott in there. I'm liking a Hendo in there. I'm liking a Fabinho in there, as Trav just said. We've got Bajcetic. We've got Curtis Jones coming off the bench. Thiago's still injured. Am I mental? All of a sudden, the midfield looks all right. You've got James Milner. You've got the evergreen James Milner who could even come in and do a job. Am I crazy, or are you saying the same as me?
No,
Harvey Elliott was brilliant Sunday.
He was.
Let's have it.
He was. And then the thing is that, I think I said to you boys on the chat quite a while back, you're never as good or as bad as you think you are. You know what I mean? And then nothing's truer than this week, where with slated players, and we've all slated players this season at points going, he just isn't right. And in a game you lose, you don't look right. You know what I mean? Or a game where the team doesn't play well, one player's influence in that game is normally quite limited. Now, just to be absolutely clear, the whole team clicked in that second half. Every single one of them played the part. I mean, I talked to you boys on Sunday night about the influence of Robbo suddenly having a massive game. He was key to breaking the press, and we talked about that during the week. But for me, a player like that hitting form, having one of his better games, Fabinho having a good game, Harvey Elliott playing well, Henderson having a very quiet but effective game. He intercepted the ball brilliantly for the 3rd goal, read the game, read the danger, and in transition caused United a load of problems. And it's them type of games, them type of moments that we've got to make sure that we continue to produce. We need to make sure everybody's on the A game as well. But I imagine Klopp's thinking to himself, who's right, who's not right? Is there anybody with fitness doubts or anything, any injuries, niggles? And he might have to make a couple of changes. I'd be surprised if he made any, but it purely depends on the fitness side of things, really. But I'm the same as you, Scott. I'm looking at that midfield thinking I would just stick with that midfield on Saturday. I really would, because I think Elliott looked as if he was comfortable in the role we're asking him to do. But Bournemouth is a very different proposition to United. We will probably have more of a ball than we did against United. We'll probably have more space to attack them, but we'll probably be up against a more compact defence. That produces different problems, and then it's about finding a solution to them problems. And I'm sure Klopp's gone through all of that this week in training with the team.
Harvey Elliott even showed a turn of pace on Sunday, which I've never seen before. And it was even more surprising considering he had Casemiro in his back pocket, weighing him down. But I've lauded our front three in terms of obviously Salah, Mane, Firmino, in that you can have an industrious midfield three as long as the front three are doing what they can do. Now the front three are pairing. It's no surprise that the midfield three had a great game. It's a bit like, they mentioned Bobby Firmino. If you watch the game, you don't see Firmino. But if you watch Firmino, you see the game. It's a bit like that. The midfield were non-stop running. They weren't doing anything spectacular, but they give the front three the chance to shine. And my God, they shone with 2 goals each. Travis, this is why we're absolutely nobodies with our little podcast trying to make it big and get subscribers. We know absolutely nothing about football, and nothing is more evident than when I was asking Jurgen Klopp why Gakpo went on the left and Nunez in the middle. The special formula now is Gakpo in the middle, Nunez on the left. I'm an absolute moron, and Jurgen Klopp is the absolute messiah. What do you think?
Nah, I'd have to agree. I was literally just going to come on to that and say I actually got to give Jurgen Klopp some credit, because I think he's not been stubborn with it, has he? Like, he had to change something. And I think one of the keys was he had to make you more solid. Do you know what I mean? You were conceding a lot of goals. I think the fact that Fabinho and Henderson are sort of playing together in there, Henderson's sort of played a little bit more of a disciplined role. Like, I'm not saying he's a holding midfielder, but he's protecting the back four along with Fabinho excellently. I think what Harvey Elliott gave you, we said it on a few podcasts before this one, that Harvey Elliott was never a winger. He's not. He likes to be on the ball a lot and get a lot of touches on the ball. That caused us a lot of trouble on the Sunday, because we just couldn't get close to him because he was getting in little pockets of space. And the key to Gakpo's movement, he was doing exactly the same thing in that sort of false 9 role. So if anything, Casemiro probably felt that he had to mark Harvey Elliott and Gakpo dropping that deep. And if one of the centre-halves followed Gakpo, all it did was left space in behind for one of the other attackers to run into. So from a tactical perspective, it really did fox what we were trying to do, especially with Weghorst, who didn't really adapt to like having to defend as like sort of a midfield 5. I just think we sort of got that wrong. It was too complicated for us. We didn't really work it out. And the scary thing was, from like Ten Hag's point of view, when we were getting smashed, he didn't really know how to change it, whether we felt he had the options off the bench to change it or not. Like, McTominay came on and it just didn't really help us. And that was the worrying thing for us. So again, going back to what you were saying with Liverpool, full credit to Jurgen Klopp. He's not been stubborn. He's changed it, tweaked a few things, and it's starting to pay dividends. And I literally can't see anything different from the Bournemouth. I think you'll dominate Bournemouth. I think, like you said, they'll give you a lot of the ball. They're at home, so the crowd will probably think that they have to sort of get in amongst it, pressure, start getting in amongst tackles flying in and make the game scrappy. I think that's the only way they sort of stand a chance, because I think Liverpool will just, there's an authority about the way you've played in the last few games. And I know we said it was only Everton and stuff like that, but to me, from now to the rest of the season, you're back. Do you know what I mean? Beating United 7-0, clean sheet. I just can't see anything other than a Liverpool win. I think you'll go into that game with a lot of confidence. And I think Bournemouth will find it very, very difficult to deal with your front three, especially.
I think just on that, I think this is a little bit of a danger, in as much as United.
Trav's saying we're back.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
exactly
he trying to lure us
I'm
in?
not. I'm not.
But us going into the Bournemouth game. So Bournemouth, what United did on Sunday was they tried to go man for man all over the park, and they tried to put pressure on the ball. Really, really pushed us back. All of our defenders covered. Someone closing down the keeper, looking and trying to limit the amount of time we're going to get out. Now, Liverpool found an out ball with Andy Robertson and Alexander-Arnold to a point pretty much every time, because Alisson can ping a ball. Now, Bournemouth aren't going to go man for man. If they do, they'll get smashed. Now, very quickly, what they're going to do is they're probably going to have 2 banks sitting with not producing much space in between. So, and they'll probably say, if Gakpo goes back, let him go, and they won't try and follow him out. They won't be drawn and that sort of thing. And they'll sit in there. And I think a Bournemouth crowd would understand that if they start chasing the game or trying to high press and, really trying to push on to us, that they'll get smashed. And I think they'll tolerate the fact that their team is playing that way against us. Now, it's up to us to find something different to be able to produce space in between them lines or in behind them lines. And it's a sort of game where you need a moment from a Salah or a Nunez early on in the game. And once you open up, then the team will have to open up against you. And this is the sort of game that Liverpool have been struggling a bit with this season. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes about it. Absolutely.
It could be similar pattern to Palace. Is that what you're sort of saying? That sort of game?
Absolutely. And I think that this is a different type of challenge, but one that he's going to have to find a solution to, and one that he might play about with a team based on what I've just said. Now, he could go 4-2-4, knowing that it's unlikely that Bournemouth are going to press on the back. You know what I mean? So he could put someone like Jota or Bobby in there and play almost like four of them, moving around centrally, and maybe Gakpo behind Bobby or Bobby behind Gakpo or Jota in there or something like that, just to try and give Bournemouth more to think about, given the fact that they will have studied what we did against United and go, you do not allow them in that space. You don't allow Salah that space. You don't press onto them because they're going to, once they're out, and they're going to punish you. And that's the different challenge against playing against teams in the sort of bottom half of the Premier League, that they will do that, and their fans will be quite happy to let them do that because they stay in the game as long as they can, hoping that they have that moment. Think about Forest away for Liverpool, for example, where they then push on and they cause that problem for you.
Absolutely. Do you think Jurgen Klopp will have one eye on Real Madrid and tinker with the team a bit? Or do you think Real Madrid's a dead rubber and he'd be mad to be even thinking of progressing to the next round?
I think he thinks about Saturday. I think he thinks about Saturday, and just after that,
momentum.
He can then think about the game against Madrid. Because for me, I think we all know it's gone.
Is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
I don't know.
It'll be Wednesday because the first leg was Tuesday, wasn't it? Yeah. The first leg was Tuesday, so it'll be a Wednesday. Right?
Either way. I mean, we're playing on the Saturday lunchtime, so it should give us enough time either way. But for me, I think almost the more important game for the season is Saturday, and if he wants to have a bit of a pop at the midweek game the following week and try and do something different, and maybe produces 4-2-4 or try and go with something different and put Bobby on and see what happens, that's when he might have a go at things like that. But ultimately, the Bournemouth game matters more than the Real Madrid game, and I can't believe I'm saying them words, but because of the situation in the tie, that's the reality.
Yeah, absolutely. If you'd have asked us 4 weeks ago, we'd have took top four and nothing else, wouldn't we? So now that we're in with a chance of maybe beating Spurs,
it's more than just a chance. It's more than just a chance. You've recovered and put yourselves in a fantastic position now. I think the bookies will probably have your favourites to have it with the momentum and sort of the experience and the know-how. And I think we can all see what's happening to Newcastle. We sort of half expected that could happen to them. They've been on a great run for the 3 quarters of the season, but just now when it's coming to the crunch with the games coming thick and fast, they're just sort of crumbling. A little bit of inexperience, a couple of injuries, a few suspensions, and the squad's a little bit stretched. And I can't see them lasting the pace for the top 4. I think it'll be between yourself, Spurs, and even us, depending if we go on a little bit of a wobble. I think we'll get the top 4.
If we're back, Trav, are you worried we might finish third?
No, I don't. I'm not worried that. I think you'll finish above us, to be fair, because what's the gap? 7 points now?
7 points.
I think we'd have to lose.
I only asked that so you'd say the word 7, to be honest.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, but I can't see you finishing above us because I know you smashed us, but it's still mean another sort of 3 defeats with you winning every game, which is possible, but I think that's a little bit too far. But top 4 certainly, I think, is on definitely now with Spurs wobbling. They're out of Europe. I know people are going to say Spurs can have a clear run at it now, but they've been inconsistent all season. They're sort of winning one, drawing one, losing one. That is
They're
their
absolute
form.
dog food. They're dog
Yeah,
food.
they're not
If
great. They're
Liverpool
not
can't
great.
finish above Spurs, we don't deserve it. I want to be in the Europa Conference League if we can't finish above Spurs. That's how bad they are. Football
Yeah,
Ferreira's in the comments. He says he's walking home in the rain, so he's going to be listening to the goats. You're the man, Jose. Hope you get home soon and out of the rain.
in the rain, mate.
I said 2 minutes ago, Trav, that we're just like these little podcast nobodies, but I got to give us more credit. I was explaining to you on the last podcast or two the reasons why Jota might leave, and it's been nothing but Jota to Newcastle the last 2 days. Obi, how would you feel if he did leave, and what kind of price are we talking? I've seen quotes of 70 million. Personally, I'd take it for the reasons I said to Trav in a couple of podcasts ago.
Wow,
He's just never
70
found
million.
we won't get that, but he's never found his place in the team. He's never settled down, mainly due to injuries, but he's just a round peg in a square hole, I called him. What's your thoughts?
Wow. I think that's a little bit harsh, if I'm being honest. I think that he is a effective footballer. I think his goal scoring record for Liverpool has been okay without setting the world alight. I think he's a very, very good player who's stepped in for what would be, he's not a first teamer at this point in time, but we paid quite a bit of money for him. Paid 45 million quid for him.
Yeah.
And he came in and he done a very, very effective job. I think he was particularly good last season at points. I mean, I'm thinking about the Carabao Cup semi-final away. He seems to be a bit of a big game player as well. So he can come on and affect big games. Which,
I think it's more,
it's
not that I was trying to downgrade his abilities, OB. It was more that he's comfortably fifth choice striker, isn't he? And how are we going to keep him happy? And if someone did come in with 60, 70, would you wish him all the best?
Yes, I suppose it depends what the plan is for me, because ultimately, I think he's probably fourth choice out of the. I think Firmino's now slipped down to fifth choice of them.
No, he's fourth after Diaz, Nunez, Gakpo,
Oh yeah,
Salah.
yeah. You're right. Yeah. I forgot about Diaz. Yeah, it's a good problem to have, isn't it?
Do you see what I'm saying now?
It's absolutely ridiculous. And I suppose it depends how happy he is as well. So if he's particularly unhappy that he's not getting football, it feels like he's...
Boys, remind me, are we on about the same squad that you wanted everyone gone from? Are we on about the same squad here?
We
2 weeks ago.
We've never had a problem with our strikers. I think it was the midfield that's always been a bit of an issue. But for me...
But that's confidence that OB spoke about. We've got the confidence now. We're just writing checks for 70 million ballers out the club.
Mate, when Diaz comes back as well, he's going to be top draw, isn't he? Before he got injured, he was a joke, Diaz. He just ran through everyone, didn't he?
But for me, going back to Jota, it's like, what does Jota want? So he plays for Portugal. He's in the Portugal team most of the time. Now, if he continues to be, like you said, fifth choice, Scott, his chances of getting in the Portugal team will start dropping, and maybe he wants to do that. I suppose he's also thinking to himself, I'm coming up for the prime of a career. What is he, 24, 25, 26?
Something like that, yeah.
He's probably wanted to be playing most games, and he's coming off the bench. And maybe this is the point where he goes, I want to do this for me, and him and Klopp have the right conversation, and the right bid comes along, and that becomes a situation that works for everybody. I would keep him personally, unless a really big bid comes in. I would keep him and utilise him, because I think if we get back to where we should be competing on all fronts next season, and someone like that's really important, and he'll get plenty of games, provided we go deep in a lot of different competitions.
Yeah, I agree. I would keep him. I'd keep him, especially with Firmino leaving. That would give us 5 quality players for the front 3 positions. Sorry, Trav.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying, what type of player do you see Jota as? Because do you know when you bought him and he was from Wolves, he played off like Jimenez. So it was like a little and large type combination up top. But where do you see him fitting in Liverpool's system? Do you see him as central striker, or?
This is what I was the point I was trying to make. He's a fantastic footballer.
Yeah,
he would be a great asset for any team. He's just never truly forced his way into the Liverpool team on merit and settled down, mainly due to injuries, mainly due to the form of the front three in the last 3 years. But so it's a bit like he's never really become a fixture in the team. So it is a bit like, you know, if you want to leave, if we're all fit, he's still not getting in. So if the right price comes in, I would pat him on the back and shake his hand. I wouldn't.
So
I'm not saying I want him out. He's crap.
When you said Newcastle, that actually might be a good fit. Sorry, Obi, because
no, go on.
When you think back to that Jimenez-Jota combination at Wolves, Newcastle do like to play with a big striker up there, like a Callum Wilson. They've obviously bought Isak as well. So him playing in and around him might actually sort of work when you think of it from like a formation and a tactical point of view. Because I can't think of many other sides that, not that he wouldn't complement, but in terms of like fitting in, like he's not an out and out like main number 9, is he? And he's not like a definite wide forward. He's just one of those players that like plays off someone. And not many top sides in world football play that way. A lot of teams play 4-3-3, don't they? A lot of the top teams play 4-3-3 or like a 4-2-3-1. And I don't think he's like sort of a cam. And he's just a little bit in between. Weird player, but such a good player, such a talent. He's got everything.
Yeah,
really good.
I think as well, I think the versatility is something that Klopp looks for in strikers. So and his front three. So with the exception of probably Diaz and to a lesser extent Firmino, the rest of them are interchanging positions quite a lot. So if you think Salah's been the main striker, we know about Nunez and Gakpo, and it all means that they all move around at certain points. Diaz not so much because of the type of player he is, but the rest of them are pretty interchangeable. And Jota kind of fits into that. He kind of drifts in and out, and his movement's good in relation to the other strikers at points, which creates a lot of space. If you look back at some of the goals he scored, it's intelligent movement amongst the front three that's actually created the space. And he seems to click well with them, and he's a good option. But I suppose it depends on how willing he is to play limited games or play in what he may consider to be lesser cups and maybe coming off a bench 20 minutes to go. You know, it's almost like a one of, it might suit everybody if he moves away. The only other thing I would say about Newcastle is if you sell a player like him to Newcastle, are you loading up opposition and a direct challenger for next season? And I would say you are. I'd rather sell him abroad.
Yeah, I agree with you. And just to praise him before we get on to the score prediction, when we see Jota in the front three, Obi, we're happy, aren't we? It's not like Klopp's dropped an Origi in there or a Minamino and you're like, oh, we might struggle today. He's a top player. And it's just a shame that it hasn't worked out as well as he probably hoped. But it still might, because he might not be for sale in the summer. Let's go on to predictions. Travis, you go first. Bournemouth home against Liverpool. And I put it in the description of the video now so that we have to stand by our predictions.
Well, I got the last one wrong, didn't I? I'm gonna go. I nearly said 7-0 again. 3-0 Liverpool. 3-0 Liverpool. I'm going 3-0 Liverpool. Yeah. I think he'll be comfortable.
I'll take 2-0 just because it's difficult to break a team like that down. I think it might take a lot of perseverance and it might take a long time to break a team down. I think once we break them down, they might come out and have a go and we'll nick a second one.
Fair play. In my head, I've got 4-0. Don't ask me why. I just think we're going to be buzzing. 2 for Nunez, 1 for Gakpo, and 1 for Jota off the bench. There we go. Let's see what Jose's up to. Scoot. Yes, if Liverpool doesn't finish above Tottenham, you need to retire from supporting Liverpool. Amen, brother. Amen. Liverpool will win 3-1. Nice one. That's it. Set. Travis, Manchester United, Southampton. Are Man United going to come out the blocks and absolutely blast Southampton because they've been licking their wounds all week? Or are you worried that Southampton could come to OT and do a job on a fragile Reds?
I think we've got no choice. I bloody hope so. We need to come out the traps, mate. We've got a game tonight, but yeah, we've got no choice but to put on a show at Old Trafford. Not necessarily by scoreline, but the performance. Everybody's got to be at it. They're not going to be given a choice because, like you said, the fans are seething from Anfield. So, yeah, it's got to be all guns blazing on Sunday. 2 o'clock kickoff, I think it is. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the reaction. I'm looking forward to see what sort of team he puts out. We've got to get back on track in the league. Obviously, by that time, Liverpool could have won by then. Spurs could have maybe won by then. So there'll be a little bit of pressure going into the game that United have got to sort of get back on the bike and start going again. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the reaction is going to be like.
And isn't it funny? Like Obi always talks about confidence in the team, but it's also confidence in the fan base. We love doing a combined 11, don't we? Me, you, and Neil. So Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool. If you'd have done a combined 11 the middle of last week, it would look totally different to what it looks like now. Not only the confidence,
just Liverpool's 11.
Yeah. Not only the confidence of me in players like Harvey Elliott now, but are you worried about the confidence in your players? Are you thinking maybe Casemiro isn't as good as I hoped, or Varane, or Dallo, or Luke Shaw?
No, look, do you know what? Before that,
because you're only as good as your last performance, aren't you? That's what they say.
That's it. I think before that game and before, I knew there was some fragility that was sort of being papered over. Do you know what I mean? Like we've seen it against Man City, against the top team when they're on it. If they catch us on a day where we're not at it, we can still get pumped. Do you know what I mean? I knew that. I was scared going into that Liverpool game. I would have took a draw. I said that in the preview. I would have taken a draw all day long because I know what it's like going to Anfield, and that can happen. And those fragilities that we've got, like that line underneath that squad, all came out in that game. And it did surprise me because we'd been on such a good run, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me because there's just some of the characters in there. They will let you down from time to time, just in terms of like the effort levels and sort of throwing in the towel when the going gets tough. And I know Casemiro had a bad game performance wise, but in terms of his character, we need more characters like that in the squad. Like I said, we've been playing with about 13, 14 players for the last 11, 12 games. We've not rotated as much as we probably would have liked. Do you know what I mean? When we've rested the centre halves, we've played Shaw at centre back, because Ten Hag, you can tell that he doesn't trust certain players in the camp to a degree, like your Harry Maguires and your Lindelofs and players like that. So I still think there's a lot of work to be done, but on Sunday is a big game because the players need to show the fans that they want to finish this season strong. And I think it is important that we finish the season strong. There's obviously a lot of talk with the ownership and stuff going around with the Glazers. Will they sell? Will they not? So I think it's important in front of the home crowd that they show that they're going to mean business from now to the end of the season.
Oh, it's more than just that, though, isn't it? You're still in the Europa League, still in the FA Cup. You're still comfortably in the top four. It's still a big end to the season to come.
Yeah, there's a lot to play for. There is, like I said, we've got a good draw in the quarterfinals at home to Fulham. In the Europa League, we played tonight against Betis, which will be tricky, but you'd still expect us to go through over 2 legs, providing that we sort of get a good result tonight. You don't really want to be going away like at 1 each or down in the game and having to recover it away from home. They're still 5th in the league. They've got a streetwise manager in Pellegrini. He sort of knows he knows his way around the leagues and the competitions and that. So they're not going to be a pushover, but you'd still expect us to sort of win that game. But I think, like you said, the fans are just looking for a reaction now. There'll be a huge pressures on these players to sort of respond and show that it is just a blip, that Liverpool game, and we have to go out and prove it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how we react to it. And like you said, there's a lot to play for. I think we can probably win one of the remaining competitions that we're still in out of the 2. So yeah, let's bring it on. Let's hope we can do it.
I've got a bit of a confession to make. I'm going to ask Obi his opinion on it first before Trav's. I really rate Anthony. When I watch him, I think he's got skill. He's got pace. He can hurt defenders. I kind of likened him a bit to Arjen Robben in his Chelsea days. But when I go on Twitter, he gets absolutely blasted. So before Trav gives me his Man United opinion, what's your opinion on Anthony, Obi?
I'm not having him. I think they've paid far too much money for a player who I think has got a bit of an attitude in the way he plays, which can be a positive thing. But I also think that things don't go his way. He puts that scowl on. He's got that Richarlison scowl. And when things aren't going well, it just falls apart. I thought he fell. He was one of the players I noticed he really fell apart on Sunday. And when he's doing well in a game, and this is key for me, I can't remember a moment where I think he's flipped the game this season. And if you think back, Scott, he might be a good link-up player. He might be doing a lot of good things. He might be occupying a defence. But I can't think of a moment where I thought he's turned that game. And that, for me, says he's not an 80... What did he pay? 82 million for him?
80,
something like that. And
80 million.
I don't see an 80 million pound footballer there. I really don't.
Jose's in the comments. He says Robin was better. Oh my god,
way better, way better.
And what I mean is,
better.
like, there's points in the first half I thought he's dangerous, and I like him. What's your opinion, Trav? Has he been well received?
I know what you're saying when you say he's like Robin in terms of him being all left foot and that balance and his dribbling style and the way he plays. I think when Robin came to this league, he set the world alight because of his productivity. Like every time he got the ball, you thought something was going to happen, either a goal or an assist, and 9 times out of 10 it did happen. He was just electric when he came to the league. I think with Anthony, he's still young, there's a period of adjustment. I think he's actually done well. The reason I think he's done well is because when he's not in the side, you can tell the difference in terms of the balance that he offers the team. He keeps his width very, very well. He's a very skillful player. He's not got blistering pace, but I think his productivity hasn't been too bad. He scored some important goals. I think the one against Barcelona quite recently put us through. Scored against Arsenal on his debut as well. But he's missed a lot of football. I know when we were having a balance in the group chat, I showed that he's missed actually half of the league games, and that's gone quite unnoticed. He picked up an injury sort of just before the World Cup, and he missed a lot of games, and then he was all of a sudden fit for the World Cup. That didn't really go down well with the fans because it's like, oh, well, he's been injured for ages, but he's fit for the World Cup, and people were questioning, like you said, his mentality and his attitude. That I think he's going to be one of those players who, over the next sort of 14, 15 months, you'll see the best of him. I like what he's about. I think he's got potential. Whether he fulfills it or not, I'm not 100% sure. Because, like I said, he's not going to blitz someone with pace, but he's very skillful. And I think he's got talent in his locker. So I think it's early days for Anthony, but I think he's done okay.
Yeah, like I say, it was in the first half because we couldn't judge any player for Man United in the second half. They all just collapsed. They all capitulated. They were all dreadful equally. But there was just moments, like I say, when Anthony got the ball, I thought, I've been on Twitter enough and he's been taking a bit of stick with his stats, return, goals, assists. But every time he got the ball, I thought, this is going to be his game where he hurts a team. It's going to be Liverpool, and I'm going to be upset that he's chose this game to come to the fore. It never quite happened, but I just spotted something there, and I thought, I've got a feeling he's going to be a baller. So
he's not someone you can take your eye off. Yeah, he's not someone you can take your eye off. I don't think so. I don't think he's someone you can take your eye off.
I'm not having it. I think he's closer to being the next Nani than he is the next Mobbin. I'll say
so
that
Obi's
now.
writing him off. I love it. That's what this podcast is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he could prove me wrong, and I've been wrong plenty of times about players in the past. I just don't see it. I see positionally that he's quite intelligent, but you know, all the unnecessary flicks. I think he done one on. Did he do one on Sunday in the first half? Where he done like a weird little flick or something.
Surely not, because that'd be all over
early,
Twitter if it was true.
Really early on in the game. And then it was like the one where he done the spin with a ball. It's unnecessary.
You hate that spin, don't you? I don't think he did that on Sunday, but that spin is a little bit ridiculous, to be fair. That spin.
Ridiculous. And it's not spin. It doesn't gain anything, does it? We all know that. And he'd be better off just controlling the ball really well and playing a pass. You know what I mean? If he's going to do that instead of acting like he's something special. He's clearly got an ego, but that could be a good thing for him. I just don't see a top footballer there. And if you look at, for example, on Sunday and you watch the behaviour of someone like Mohamed Salah, which it's harsh to compare him to Salah. I understand that. Yeah. You watch a guy who doesn't try to do all the complicated things. You know what I mean? He just does it simply, does it with a smile on his face, looks like he's enjoying the game. When he's getting hacked down, he gets up and smiles. whereas Anthony seems to want to have a pop at everybody for everything, And as well with Anthony, defensively, he should have took Gakpo out for that third goal or Gakpo's second goal, and he give up. And he spun round, he tried to tackle him, and Gakpo got the ball away. But if you actually watch, Anthony just lets him go. It's like he's totally switched off to it. And it's like that attitude and behaviour isn't something that you want to see.
I'm not going to
defend
Anthony. Sorry, Trav, before you go. I'm not going to defend him, but to me, that goal was indefensible at Obi. That was everything that was good about Salah. Gakpo's desire to get beyond the defender and back him up. I think that was indefensible, undefendable.
Yeah. I'm not saying he was any more to blame than say Martinez was for the goal, who got absolutely shut down. But being 1-on-1 with Salah is a horrid place to be. And we've seen some of the best defenders in the world. And if you remember Salah's goal against City a couple of seasons ago, we went through their whole defence, and they were some of the best defenders in the world at the point. And it was like he goes through them, and if you give him that opportunity 1-on-1, he's going to cause Martinez a lot of problems. But for me, I just thought, take the guy down, and take the yellow card, and that's what he should have done. But instead, he tried to do some sort of pushing off the ball thing. Gakpo had the sense to see him come, played the ball in the Salah at the right moment, and was there to take the ball back as well.
We've got 6 people watching now. I'm just jumping into the comments. We've had Isaac Shaw turn up. Thanks for tuning in, Isaac. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. He says, I'm a Saints fan and I understand you might write us off. We haven't been good, but I see improvements under Sellers. So what I would say is don't write Saints off. They will want to fight for Prowse. Absolutely.
Yes, come on. Come on, you Saints.
Do you know what? This is a typical... There's no weak teams in the league anymore. We're worried about Bournemouth at the weekend. Bournemouth give Arsenal a game. Southampton beat Chelsea at Chelsea 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
1-0.
Everton are going to do everything they can to get out of the relegation fight, and they're the 3 at the bottom. There's no weak teams anymore. I had Chelsea in last man standing at home to Southampton. Me and as well as about another 50 people, and we went out last man standing. And Southampton, I can see them getting out of it. I wouldn't even like to place a bet on who's going to get relegated. I don't know. I think Everton might even get out of it.
These are the worst games, mate. Do you know what I mean? 12 games to go, teams scrapping for relegation, just wanting a point. And a point's a good thing at this stage, because if you get a point, the teams around you lose, all of a sudden you're 1 win away from safety. And I think Southampton will be going to Old Trafford just thinking, let's just hang on, let's just not get beat. And like you said, similar to the Bournemouth game, they'll be shutting up shop, 2 banks of 4. And with Ward-Prowse in the team, he is probably the best set piece taker in the whole league, like arguably. Do you know what I mean? If they get a free kick, a corner, something's going to be created from that. He's very scary from dead ball situations. I've seen it before. I think St. Mary's is also a horrible place to go. No matter where they are in the league, they always seem to put up a good fight against the big teams. I know they've done quite well at the Etihad quite recently as well over the past couple of years and stuff. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy game for us.
What was the score at St. Mary's, Trav? Me and you watched it. I remember on a Saturday afternoon at 12:30, we were texting each other. Was it 0-0 at St. Mary's?
No, I think we won.
Or did you win it?
1-0, maybe 1-0. I can't 100% remember. I think it was Casemiro's debut. We might have.
McTominay handballed it twice in the area. And the ref and VAR didn't give it. Do you remember?
I think we won 1-0. I think, if I can remember correctly, I think we won the game 1-0. But yeah, Southampton's never.
1-0,
yeah, it was 1-0. Yeah. See, Southampton's never easy, mate, at all. And they're a good club. Do you know what I mean? Like under Hassan Hüttl, I know he was overachieving there. It went to pot, and then they had this Nathan Jones, and he just wasn't at the level. That didn't work out. But I'm just so surprised they didn't get like a more experienced manager for the fight, to be fair. Like, unless they're just thinking long term and not preparing for the championship, but if they see this guy as the guy and they just want to get him in now, and they're sort of gonna, some clubs take the hit and think, if we go down, this is the guy we want, and they get that guy in now. Some people just get like an Allardyce or a Sean Dyche like Everton, and they just value staying up so much. But yeah, Southampton's not going to be an easy game at all. I totally agree with what Isaac's saying. They'll put up a good fight. And as long as we sort of perform well and get over the line at this stage of the season with not many games left, I'll be more than satisfied with that.
Yeah, I'm not just bumming Southampton because Isaac's tuned in and I appreciate it, but Southampton are one of them teams where they can come to town and just get a result. And when I think of that, I think of like Crystal Palace always seem to get a result against Man City.
Yeah.
I'd love to look at their results in the last 4 years against Man City. They seem to beat them at the Etihad and at Crystal Palace. And this is one of them that Southampton, it wouldn't rule out like a 3-1 Southampton shock win or something like that. Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, I'm hoping for that. And I'm sure Obi thinks the same, but it'll be a good game.
Yeah.
Isaac, we're going to be doing a live at 4:00 on Sunday, live match reaction. Don't forget to tune in, especially if you've got a result at OT. We're going to hopefully do one at 2:30 Saturday, lads. I don't know if you guys are available, but we'll sort all that out a bit later. Jose's still with us, Football Ferreira. He says, guys, this is why I love watching you guys, because you make me a better YouTuber. Really enjoy the podcast. Again, keep up the great work. Vamos.
Oh, thanks, mate. Thank you.
Appreciate it, mate. Jose. I really do. A monster performance from Martinez in that game. Yeah, I remember it at the Dell or St. Mary's. Man United were lucky to get that 1-0, and especially with McTominay handballing it twice.
It was a definite penalty, to be fair.
VAR didn't even want to know, did they? It was a joke. Let's head straight for the prediction. Obi, I'm going to come to you first. Man United at home to Southampton. What do you see?
Sorry, Isaac, but unfortunately, I think United are going to bounce back from it. I think it'll be nervy at points. I think they'll concede first and they'll come back and win the game. And I think it'll be 2-1 to Man United. But there will be a lot of pressure on the United players today. It'll be interesting on Sunday. It'll be interesting to see how, in particular, Martinez and Varane bounce back from that situation. And I think that they'll have their hands full at points. And I think that Southampton will cause them quite a lot of problems. 2-1 United.
2-1 United. Trav?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 United, but it will be a difficult game. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of them where it's 0-0 at half-time, a little bit of a flat performance from the midweek game, depending on who we rest tonight. But I think once we break the deadlock, it'll be one of those where we just maybe nick a late goal and consolidate it. But it won't be without Southampton putting up a good fight. I tell you that right now for free. It could be a very, very tough game for us. So I would literally take sort of any win with a solid performance and just get the points on the board at this stage.
While I give my prediction, Trav, do you want to head into Flash Score and let us know what the Man United team is? It should be announced now for Betis.
Yeah,
but on Sunday, I'm going to go probably comfy for Man United. 3-0, I'm going to go for. Anything could happen. Isaac's just put a message in now. Alcaraz is dangerous, so watch him. I think Ward-Prowse will leave if we go down. Yeah, that would be a shame. I think Ward-Prowse wants to say to stay. He's a Saints boy. Absolutely. It would be a shame if he didn't stay with them. What age is Ward-Prowse now? Is he nearly 30? I think it could be 1-0 Saints, but it could be 3-1 to United. Yeah, I'm going to go 3-0. I just think Man United and Ten Hag are going to be absolutely wounded from last Sunday. They're going to want to turn it on in OT. I think he might make some changes. I don't know if he watched Onto the Ball podcast Sunday morning, Trav, but we said that he might drop a McTominay into a 3-man midfield instead of Weghorst. He didn't do it. He got absolutely smashed. I don't know if that will force him to change his tactics a bit and change the starting lineup, but we'll have to wait and see. But it should be a good game.
Well, the lineup. Go on.
I thought that McTominay and Weghorst were the same person. When I see him on the pitch, every time I see Weghorst up front, I keep on thinking, why did they put McTominay up front? the way he looks and the way he moves and stuff, it just looks like it's McTominay. But yeah,
Weghorst.
Ten Hag's gone exactly the same team as Liverpool. Exactly.
Oh, really?
The same. No changes at all. So it's obvious he's
thinking redemption then, isn't he?
Yeah, redemption. He wants to win this
I
game.
wonder if that's similar to when he's lost heavy early on in the season. Didn't he send the whole team out for an 8-mile run? So I wonder if that basically he couldn't do that this time round because of the timelines and the turnaround. So maybe this is the 8 mile run. Go round.
Maybe he took them out for a 7 mile run.
Oh,
a mile for every goal they conceded. Isaac says, don't you think if we score first, Man United will be frustrated with a possible red card and more fouls and lose the heads because they want to prove a point? United could get 2 quick goals. Absolutely, Isaac. And this is what we love about the Premier League. Absolutely anything could happen. No one would have put Bournemouth 2-0 up against Arsenal last week or 1-0 up after 10 seconds. This is why the game is so beautiful and we love tuning in, and why we started this podcast, really, because no matter what, there's always something to talk about. There's always points. There's always players signing. There's always goals. There's always a talking point, be it VAR, be it Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which Trav is happy he's no longer at this club when we started this podcast. There's always something to talk about. And that's why we absolutely love football. But yeah, looking forward to this weekend. To see what happens in another round of Premier League games. Right, lads, thanks ever so much. Those that are still tuned in, if you like what you've watched and heard, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe. It really helps us out a lot. Gives us the impetus to make more of these videos and go live more. But we'll be live over the weekend at points. Don't forget to tune in. Travis, Obi, Isaac, Jose, Football Ferreira. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.
Cheers, guys.
You're not doing it anymore, Trav.
Not until we've won.
Rashford's in the bad books now. Right, cheers, lads.